Today we are on part 5 of our 10 Commandments series. That brings us to Commandment number 5, and this is about honoring your parents. Here's the thing. Commandment 5 is singled out by God for the blessings that it brings to the individual, to the family, and to society in general. Here's a commandment. It is in Exodus 20, verse 12. Honor your father and mother, and then you will live a long, full life in the land the Lord your God is giving you. So let's take a look at this commandment and what it says to kids, what it says to adult kids, and then really how this blessing works out. Kids, listen up. When kids honor their parents, they honor God's design for healthy families, which are the building block for a functioning society. If you go back to the 10 Commandments, you'll notice that the first 4 commandments, the ones we just covered, are about your relationship with God. And starting in verse 12, we start looking at your relationship with other people. So we'll be talking about honoring your father and mother and not murdering and committing adultery and stealing and that sort of thing. But the point I wanted to make here is that this 5th commandment is really a transitional commandment. Because for kids, in essence, when you obey your parents, you're obeying God. Because in essence, parents stand in the gap for God. Parents are sort of like mediators for God until kids are old enough to be accountable to God for themselves. So really the 5th commandment is setting kids up for obeying God and relating to God in a proper biblical way. Now, if you go back and look at the Bible, you'll notice that God really cares about families. God knows that families are the building block for a functioning society. In fact, when God was giving these 10 commandments to Moses, it was in the context of the Israelites getting ready to have their own society in the Promised Land. And when families are healthy, then a society can be healthy. When kids understand authority in the context of a family, then they can grow up and understand authority in the context of a healthy society. But here's the thing. Honoring your parents is more than just obeying them in your childhood. It's really about your attitude toward them from beginning to end. And this is really where adult children can learn the principle of the 5th commandment. Paul talks about this in Ephesians chapter 6. He says, "Children, obey your parents because you belong to the Lord, for this is the right thing to do. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise." He's quoting commandment number 5 right there. And here's the promise. If you honor your father and mother, things will go well for you and you will have a long life on earth. Now, again, the concept of honoring your father and mother doesn't just stop with children. Paul says it like this in 1 Timothy 5, verse 8, "But those who won't care for their relatives, especially those in their own household, have denied the true faith. Such people are worse than unbelievers." So this is just one example of how we can honor our parents as they get older and as we get older. Honoring them isn't just about being obedient to them as children. It's also about caring for them as they get older. That's not society's job. That's our job as adult children. Now, in your small group, you can make your own list of things that you can do to honor your parents as an adult. But let's finish up with this last idea. God promises to bless those who honor their parents. Submitting to godly wisdom makes for a rich and satisfying life. Because once again, that's what the commandment says, is when you honor your father and mother, you'll live a long, full life. You will be blessed. Your life will be blessed. Now, this isn't some strange mystical principle. It just makes common sense, doesn't it? If you obey your parents, if you learn to submit to proper authority in your life, life is going to go a lot better for you. Because godly parents represent godly wisdom. And when we follow godly wisdom, God's way, then, as Jesus said, we'll have a rich and satisfying life on earth. So that's the 5th commandment. And remember, it's singled out for the blessings that it can bring to you as an individual, to the entire family, and to society as a whole. Now, talk about this one with your small group, whether you're a kid or an adult kid.